Did you see your shadow when you got out of bed? First paycheck. We got
try not to do with it anymore.
Oh, really?
Okay, in fact, my son just called me and said, why did you walk to the office?
I wrote on my little note.
Is that right?
Well, I don't think we ever let up we're all
Anything, I think we're all here. Thanks, but the key thing is how you tell people. No number of managements supported. I don't remember when we had to explain.
I'd like to ask John Crawford to come up and say a few words.
Right, right. Yeah, there are two bywords here. I told Stan a while ago that I would be kind, and Bill said few words, so I know what my instructions are. In fact, there are a lot of people here, I think, who are going to roast Stan tonight, so I really would like to say a few serious things, primarily because I think Stan has indeed left a serious legacy to this laboratory. It's my understanding that he was one of the core group that actually conceptualized the notion of fundamental nuclear safety in the design architecture and developed the weak link, hard links, exclusion region philosophy. And I suspect if there is one thing that Sandia has brought to the nuclear weapons business that is will last for the entire length of the stockpile, it is that design architecture. And so I think that while we say the words very often, people leaving a legacy, in Stan's case, it's really true. That work was seminal work in our community. I think it's Nobel Prize kind of work. And Stan should be very proud of it. I know he is. And I think we should all be very proud of Stan and our association with him over the years. I wish him nothing but the best in retirement. I see lots of retired folks these days. The smiles are about this big on their faces. And so I think that it sounds like a good idea. And I'm here to learn how to do it. Congratulations, Stan, and we'll miss you a lot.
Thanks, John. Orville? See, Orville Jones would like to say a few words. Orville's one of those smilers, too.
Well, I've been gone a few years, but Stan and I spent many together in some trenches. To me, this is Mr. Incompatibility, inoperability, isolation. Concepts that I think have led to the strong link concepts, the isolation, anyway, really the philosophic underpinnings of the safety theme that's proved out to be so well. Those concepts are always under attack. I was talking to Stan a little earlier and reminding him of a day some years back when George Dacey was the president, and he was absolutely convinced that we didn't need these 16th century clockworks, that in this day and age Bell Labs had proved that everything could be done with semiconductors and electrons. Stan and I and Bill Stevens, and I don't know, probably a couple of other people, maybe John even. I don't know, were you there, John? You were there, right. We spent a lot of hours with George and finally convincing him that electrons are just too ubiquitous. They just run around in all kinds of strange places, that you really need a combination of electrons, photons, and what do I want to say? Electrons, photons, well, and mechanical signals, there's a word for it. Phonons. Phonons. If you want to be safe. Again, filling Stan's concept philosophically of incompatibilities. I've admired Stan. I've never felt very comfortable around him. Because I always wanted to take a lot of credit for how safe Sandia systems were, and Stan was always standing right there behind you, reminding you of improvements that needed to be made, sins of omission and commission both. And I've always admired his determination, his perseverance in looking forward to how better to improve the United States nuclear weapons stockpile. And you know, unless you folks out there measure up, I won't sleep as well in the future knowing that Stan has retired. So you're going to have to step up to the plate and make people around you as uncomfortable as Stan used to make me. Stan, I want to wish you the best, good health, happiness, and good luck in your retirement.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Orville. See, I did want to say just a few words. I'll make it just a very few words because Stan has a presentation that he's going to be making here, and I know that he's very much interested in getting this done. He's been working on this presentation for quite a while. Let's see, Stan, I don't know how to add anything to what John and Orville have said. My personal involvement, I guess I first met you sometime in 1966, sometime after Palomares accident, which really changed our lives here at Sandia, and in fact changed the course of the nuclear weapons safety design forever, I hope. But Stan and company had been put together to take a look at nuclear safety, particularly after the Palomares accident, even though the Palomares accident did not have anything to do with nuclear detonation safety. The question was, how good are we in terms of nuclear detonation safety? So Stan and a few others went off and hid in the northeast corner of 836, first floor, and they hid away for a long, long time. We'd see them walking down the halls every once in a while. They wouldn't engage in conversation. And then one day they came out of the closet, and boy, they had a lot to say. And us designers had a hard time keeping up with some of their ideas. It was a real shock, but it seemed like everything that they said made sense, even though it was difficult for us designers to do. And I remember having untold number of arguments with Stan. I'd get a great idea about how to do something better, and I'd come over to Stan, and after a while I'd leave with my tail between my legs and forget that idea and try to come up with another one. But Stan always had this way of talking in a very, very professional way. You never felt like your design, your idea was a stupid idea. But he would help me understand what I needed to understand in order to be able to self-evaluate it. And one of the things that he never did was to let us designers off the hook. He made sure that I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning wondering if we had done everything that we could for nuclear safety. He also taught me several other things. One is that we were the advocates of public safety. We were the representatives of the public. The military had folks that would care about the reliability, but they didn't have the advocates for nuclear safety. We needed to be our own advocates for nuclear safety, and that's a very important message that we need to continue. See, Stan, what I did want to say was that you personally have been one of the most important people in my life, and certainly in my profession here at Sandia. I've learned more from you than I have from anybody else, and I appreciate the patience that you had with me, and the long hours that you taught me. I know he won't want to admit that he taught me because I'm not as good an advocate as he is. Yeah. Well, Stan, I do want to say thank you very much personally, and congratulations on a wonderful career here at Sandia. And we're still going to keep your office open, and we expect you to be around. Now, I do want to present you with a plaque. And the plaque says, Sandia National Laboratories presented to Stanley D. Spray, December the 31st, 1998, in recognition of extraordinary contributions to the safety of the United States nuclear weapons stockpile. And is signed by Paul Robinson, John Crawford, and William Nickel. See, I don't think we're ready to let you make your presentation yet.
I have a lot of untrustworthy people in
Well, we heard that you were an aficionado of Jeopardy, and we just, well, we thought that was sufficiently important that we brought in Alec Trebek. Alec, it's all yours.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you would all like to sit down and relax a little bit, I think you'll enjoy our show. Stan, why don't you find a nice place to sit down and so you can see the screen?
I don't want to block anybody's view.
There we go. Yes, that's great. Stan, I understand that you're famous for telling your staff to go punch a button on their computer and make incredible things happen. Well, here, just for you tonight, we have the one and only Stan Spray button that's going to launch the Stan Spray Jeopardy game. So Stan, enjoy. I'd like to introduce our contestants for tonight. Contestant number 1 is Laura Connolly. Laura was the secretary of Stan's for a number of years. And Laura managed to escape Stan while he was on travel one time. She managed to sneak away. We understand that Laura's psychologist has said that through training and several years of going to see her, she will get over the effects of working for Stan. Our contestant number 2 is Tony Marie Huning. Tony Marie has worked for Stan for a number of years. And Stan had asked Tony Marie to help put this together for tonight. So Stan, all I can say is be careful what you ask for. And contestant number 3 is Chuck Troth, a distinguished member of technical staff who has worked in nuclear safety for 10 to 12 years. And currently, anytime you've seen Stan, Chuck isn't far behind. Now, prior to tonight, we had gotten the contestants together. We did a coin toss, and Chuck Troth won the coin toss. So Chuck, you may start. One thing I do need to do is let the people know in the audience what the categories are. The categories for tonight, the special Stan Spray Jeopardy, is nuclear safety, sprayisms, and travel. Now, Chuck, you may begin.
Thank you, Alex. Is this picking up? No.
Can you hear us now?
No.
Is it on?
It's going to have to pass.
There it is.
There you go.
There we go. Now you got it.
Alex, I would like, please, category nuclear safety for $100.
More than 2,000.
I know. What is the number of people at Sandia that work for Stan Spray?
I'm sorry, Chuck, that is incorrect.
Oh, no, can't be. He told me that many times.
I'm sorry, Chuck, that answer is incorrect. Laura, Tony Marie, would you like to? Laura, go right ahead.
How many view-graphs does Stan need for a presentation on the need for and application of nuclear safety principles?
That is correct. Laura, you have the board.
Alex, I would like to take sprayisms for 300.
Abnormal environments.
Oh, I know this one. What would Sandia be like if Stan were ever to really retire?
And there, look at that. There is the answer. Beautiful. Thank you, Laura. You still have control of the board, Laura.
Alrighty then. I will take travel for 300.
Oh, this is a bonus round.
I get to wager whatever I want?
Yes.
400.
400.
Yes.
Okay. The national debt.
What is the amount of money that Stan would want to see spent to improve the safety of the nuclear stockpile?
Laura, I'm sorry.
But it's true, Alex. It's true.
It is wrong. That is wrong. The correct answer is, what is the only number greater than Stan Spray's frequent flyer mileage? Laura, you still have control of the board.
Alex, I'll take a travel for 200.
Travel for 200. An all expense paid European vacation.
What has Stan been promising me for years, but it never happened? Never. Every time he headed out of town, it's like, Stan, I want to go. And he'd say, no, Laura, not this time. Next time, I promise. Next time you can go, I promise, Laura, next time.
Laura, I'm sorry, that's wrong. That is wrong.
But Alex, it's true.
It is wrong in this case. Tony Marie, Chuck, would you like to?
I'll take it.
Tony Marie, go right ahead.
Okay, I know what this one is. What is the travel concept pioneered by Stan while working at Sandia?
An all-expense paid European vacation. That's correct. Yes. Way to go, Tony Marie.
Okay.
You have control of the board.
Okay, Alex, I'd like nuclear safety for $200.
Nuclear safety for $200. There isn't one.
What? Okay, I've got that one. What is the modern safety device on the W62?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Laura, Chuck, would you... Oh, Laura.
What is the elusive view graph that on nuclear safety principles that Stan made everybody stop work and look and look and look? Everybody, all day long. We looked and looked. But there was none. There was no such view graph.
Laura, I'm sorry. That's incorrect again.
But Alex, it was true.
Chuck, would you like to take a shot at this?
Certainly, thank you. Alex, I would like, what is...
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the button.
All right. Now we're going to have to do a lessons learned experience. Okay. Every time that we have a situation that something comes up, you know, when you're doing lessons learned, the only way to do lessons learned is take notes at the time it happens. So Stan's going to make us go back, do a hot wash, put it in the database, so we may as well go over it right now. Okay, Laura, what was the procedural cause for this action?
Well, Tony Marie, I think I forgot to include it in the SOP that we had to write before we engaged in this exercise.
Okay, so let's talk about root causes on this, Laura. Okay, you know, we're getting to the real cause of the situation here, what really causes it, not any contributing factors, but the real root cause now.
Tony Marie, I think the real root cause was human error. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push the button.
It's okay. It's no fault. It's no fault, but we got to document it. Okay? So, would you like to provide some input to the corrective actions phase of the database for lessons learned so that we can pass this on for the next generation of engineers and administrative victims?
All right, how's this? I'll only put my hands close to the button if I'm really probably going to push the button. And I'm only going to put my finger on the button if I'm really going to push it because I really think I have the answer right.
Okay, I'll enter that into the database. But would you, would you please send out a memo to organize a hot wash for all the participants here and arrange with everybody to make sure they can get it on their calendar to be here and show up, send them out the form, make sure they get it filled out. And you know Stan's penchant for losing things in the black hole in his office, so we're going to have to do it in duplicate and triplicate. Could you handle that for us, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Chuck, were
I
you going to
still
answer
have the
that?
answer to this thing.
Oh,
you
good.
know, I really-
That's good.
Alex, what is the safety theme on the B-57?
That is correct. By golly, there it is. Boy, that looks like a rat's nest. Stan, weren't you the lead electrical engineer on the B-57? Oh. Chuck, you have control of the board.
Alex, I would like travel for $100, please.
A blinding white flash or a small nuclear detonation?
I believe the answer to that would be, what happens when Stan finds he can't travel first class?
That is correct. Chuck, you have control of the board.
Thank you. I would like next nuclear safety for $300.
Nuclear safety, $300. It could happen. It could happen.
I believe the correct answer is what does Stan say is the possibility that a weapon could experience a tornado, an earthquake, a direct lightning strike, a plane crash, and a train wreck, all at the same time.
Judges, I need a call on this.
Oh, it's got to be.
No, I'm sorry, Chuck.
No,
that's
it's gotta
not
be.
right.
Can't.
Tony Marie, Laura,
I'll take it, yeah.
Tony Marie.
Okay. All right. So what does Stan say is the possibility that a weapon could experience a tornado, an earthquake, a direct lightning strike, a plane crash, and a train wreck, all at the same time in a blinding snowstorm?
That's correct. Yes. Tony Marie, you have control of the board.
Alex, I'll choose sprayisms for $100, please.
Okay. Lights out in Stan's office.
Oh, I have that one, but I can't think of anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Laura, Chuck? Laura.
How do you know Stan isn't on travel, but merely sleeping or retired in place?
That is correct. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's really...
Gotcha.
That is really a nice picture of you, Stan. It does bring to mind, when I was traveling here, I was roaming the halls of CBS, and I ran into David Letterman, and he had obviously known that this retirement ceremony was going on, and he knew of some of the categories, and he said that it might be worthwhile if I went through and went over the 10 top things to say when you're caught sleeping at your desk. Number 10, darn, they told me at the blood bank this might happen. Number 9, this is just a 15-minute power nap like they rave about in the last management course you sent me to. Number 8, whew, I guess they left the top off the liquid paper. Number 7, I wasn't sleeping, I was meditating on our mission statement and envisioning a new program. Number 6, this is one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. Number 5, I was testing the keyboard for drool resistance. Number 4, someone must have put decaf in the wrong pot. Number 3, the unique and unpredictable circadian rhythm of the workaholic. Number 2, I wasn't sleeping. I was trying to pick up a contact lens without using my hands. And the number 1 answer is amen. Okay, I believe that Laura, you have control of the board. Is that correct?
Well, I'll take sprayisms for 200.
Sprayisms for 200. Penmanship Award.
I know that one, Alex.
Oh, good.
What is the one award that Stan will never win?
That is correct. Now, this brings up a very interesting tale that Stan's staff has talked about. There's Stan's penmanship. Let me start off. This is through several members of Stan's staff over the past years. Ed Malden. Okay, Stan, I have asked Deborah, oh, wrong one, sorry about that. Let me get him in order here. There we go. Say, Deborah, can you help me? Stan needs this right away, and I can't make out his handwriting to save my soul. Deborah. I think that's how he writes nuclear safety principles, but I could be wrong. You might want to talk to Tony Marie. Oh, we skipped one there. I'm going to go, I'll read the second one. Hey, TM, your experience at reading Stan's chicken scratching, what do you think of this says? It looks like a shopping list to me, but if you really want to know, why don't you go ask Stan? Okay, Stan, I've asked Deborah and TM, and none of them can make this out. What are you trying to say here, Stan? And Stan's reply is, I don't know. Okay. We are now at our final Jeopardy round. I want to go over and recap the scores of our final Jeopardy grand prize round. Laura and Chuck are both at minus 100. Tony Marie has plus 200. Because it's Stan's retirement party, Laura and Chuck will be allowed to wager 200 on Final Jeopardy. This is the Final Jeopardy. And the answer is, how will Stan be remembered? Go ahead and put down what you think, people. Okay, Laura, what do you think?
I knew this one, Alex. I bet 200.
You bet 200? And your answer is?
Who is the Blueberry Muffin Man?
Who is the Blueberry Muffin Man? Very good. Chuck.
She's got to enter the dollars, Alex.
Oh, she's got to enter the dollars? Okay, we'll... Now, Chuck, okay.
I got it right, too, and I wagered 200.
Very good, Chuck. That is correct. So Chuck has 200. Well, Tony Marie?
I am so embarrassed, Alex. You would think I'd know this one. I gave him the name. I wagered 100. I couldn't think of a thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tony Marie. For those of you that got the handout, go ahead and sing along with us, please.
Certainly raises hell alive, there's a song spot. And as you being enough and man, who often travels foreign lands, with passion for the blueberry inside her hand. Oh, this is the story of the muffin man, the hunt the world, and the travel like there is the place from hell, and the second the ambassador's love was his major find for him. Lunches there for hours on it, licking tenderness their bone. The muffin man is a scribbling man who never seems to understand that a piece of paper with a wiggly line does not communicate. The muffin gathered in groups in hall, trying to read his tortured scrawl. On a very good day with all the staff, we can read about 60%.
Very good, very good. Well, it looks like going through and reviewing the scores, it looks like that we have a tie. And this is a first in Jeopardy. And so for our grand prize tonight, Laura, Tony Marie, and Chuck, you will be having dinner with Stan Spray. What we'd like to do now, Stan, is there is a very special friend of yours who couldn't be here tonight, but he sent along a message for your retirement party, and this is from Malcolm Jones from AWE.
Hello, Stan. It's your old sparring partner from Aldermaston. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you on your party tonight, but I couldn't let the evening go by without making some contribution. I'm sure you'll have a great time. I believe the party's at the Coronado Club, and I'm sure you'll get lots of surprises, many of them pleasant, and those will be an appreciation of all the contributions you made to Sandia over the many years you've been there, both from a professional and personal viewpoint. And on that score, I'd like to take this opportunity to, well, on behalf of all your many UK colleagues, to thank you for the many contributions you've made to AWE during the period that we've known you. And I'm sure, knowing the nature of your retirement, that there are still more to come. Past that, please send on her love and best wishes for your retirement. Well, Stan, it's been a real pleasure knowing you, and I'm sure that our friendship won't end on the basis of your retirement. See you at York 41. Cheers, Dan.
Very good. Next, we have a letter that was sent in, and Tony Marie, could you read this for us, please?
Well, my buddy Alex was concerned, Stan, that I might get teary-eyed and all that, but I think I can handle it. This is a letter from your children. As you know, for the last 45 years, Stan Spray, our father, has worked for Sandia Laboratories. You may know Stan as a clever man, a man who can fix anything, a gruff man, the muffin man, a sensitive man who would do anything for anyone. We also know him for all those things, yes, even the muffin man. We also know him as the man who is the best father anyone could ever have. Although our dad dedicated many hours to his job, ... he dedicated his heart and his soul to raising his children, Steve, Shelley, and Dana. Stan is the type of dad who is always there at every ball game, recital, school event. We always knew he would be there, cheering us on, supporting our hopes, supporting our dreams. Dad, you've helped make us the successful, self-confident people we are today. Dad, we wanted everyone to know on this very special day that inside their muffin, fix-it-all man is the best father 3 children could ever have had. We love you, Dad, and it's signed from Steve, Shelley, and Dana.
Next, I'd like to ask Mr. John Hoffman to come forward. I believe he has something for Stan.
Well, we always have problems solving problems, and Stan has been my mentor in teaching me how to solve problems. And so here I was getting ready for JOWOG 41, which he taught me how to do several years ago, having some problems and dealing with some of the issues that were going to probably come up. One of the things in our emergency response business that always troubles us is things having to do with what we call disposition. It's one of my favorite topics in front of large groups that we've always had significant issues in that area. So here I'm facing an ex-boss who is now a consultant, whatever that means, and I'm trying to figure out where's the value added here. So I figure, is there some way to make consultants, or is it called rehired annuitants, or maybe laboratory associates? Well, it's one of those 3, depending on where you happen to hang your hat, is available. And what does this person offer to me? Well, he offers experience. Many, many years in this case of experience. He offers, endurance. I have followed this man down street and lane in London. The only thing we'd ever stop for was a pub on the block. And we did that several times. And so I know he endures. And what's the other one thing you have to have in an annuitant or a consultant? And that's ability. And Stan, over the years, has demonstrated all of that. So here I am faced with a problem on disposition, and I'm trying to figure out how to solve it, and I'm thinking, here I have an experienced whole cadre of people that probably qualify in all regards. We've got some real difficult issues having to do with things called waste streams and disposition and disposal and everything else like that. So how am I going to handle this? Well, I got together with Dan. He's got some microorganisms that are just working great nowadays. They eat everything and turn it into the most fantastic substances. And I have Stan, who has certain things that can be motivational on his part that I know I can draw on to make him a successful disposition ally in our program. Now, if you think back about those three qualities, experience, right? Endurance and ability. If you're in the Navy, how do you do acronyms? It's not the first letter, is it? Take the first three letters of those three words, and I give Stan the solution to my problem in this package. What we've done is taken high explosives and processed it with microorganisms and packaged it. And packaging's a big issue too, and I believe that Stan is the man that will dispose of that product. For those of you who weren't there and diver missed in 1970 or whatever, 80, 90, something like that, that was the most potent cider ever produced in England, and Stan is the man.
Thank you very much, John. I'd like now to ask if Vic Johnson could come up.
All right, I heard that a lot of this was going to be a roast, but when I started thinking about what story I might want to tell about Stan, it occurred to me that this sort of follows the old chestnut of all the prisoners that were on death row, and they all knew the same jokes, and they told them so many times that they created a shorthand. And so somebody would yell out a number and everybody would laugh because they knew the joke. Well, when you start telling stories about Stan, you usually start with, let me tell you about traveling for the first time with Stan. And everybody starts laughing because they have their own story and they understand the joke already. So there are a lot of those. I remember the first time I came to Stan with a design that I thought was just about the perfect thing you could do with a strong link. And so anytime you start a story with, I went to Stan with my first design, well, there's some smiles in the room here. I remember the first time I went on a trip with Stan. We were out at Anaheim, and we went out to look at the Missile Ordnance Arms Switch that Rockwell Autonetics had. And you can turn that into an acronym too, but I won't pronounce it. And Stan missed his breakfast that day. Actually, he got it. It was at Carl's Jr., which is equivalent to missing your breakfast. So we're working all day long, and the pace just keeps getting faster and faster. And finally, at 4:30, Stan stands up and says, all right, we're done. Anybody who's in my car, let's go. The rest of you in the other cars, you can meet us at the crab cooker in Marina del Rey in 45 minutes. So Stan got his meal before he went home. Anyway, Stan, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more roasting later on, but I wanted to give you something in honor of all the people that you've trained over the years. All of the stories that people have to tell about you are a symbol of affection, and this too is a symbol to you of our affection. And it comes in a handy gift box with the present Stan, and of course on the back is the original Stan.
Mr. Robinson, I see you back there. Would you like to say a few words?
I had heard the rumor that when Stan was a small boy, he had two ambitions. First, he thought that someday he might indeed become a weapons scientist. Or alternatively, he might run away from home and join the circus. And thank God for Sandia, he's been able to realize both of those dreams throughout a career. I had the pleasure of also being on a trip with Stan. I had gone on a original trip with Senator Jeff Bingaman to take him to some of the secret cities in Russia, and after 7 days, glorious days in Yekaterinburg, Chelyabinsk, we ended up back in Moscow, and Jeff was called back to Washington, and I went on to Artemis. And as we're on this godforsaken train, thinking that perhaps we were reliving the Second World War and being carried off to a gulag, as I wander through the train wondering who else could be on this, who do I bump into coming down the aisle the other direction but Stan Spray. At that time, with another one of my close associates from Geneva days, Roger Ide, who passed away this past year, very painful for all of us. But Stan was going to lead the first workshop on nuclear weapons safety with the Russians, and it was quite an event. I changed our other itinerary to get some time with your meeting, and I think it was an eye-opener. I heard the Russians admit that, yeah, they'd had a few accidents from time to time, and I'm not sure who it was on their side that wasn't up to a Stan Spray to keep that from happening, but I know for our own laboratory, for our own nuclear weapons program, you've made enormous contributions throughout a career. When I first came to Sandia, heard lots and lots of Stan Spray stories, and they were usually about, here's how it's done around here. Let me say on behalf of everybody in the laboratory how delighted we have been with your many years of service. We wish you all the best, and we hope to see you again and again. Congratulations, Stan.
Dick Swable, would you like to say a few words?
I will watch it, Stan. Well, I have a lot of trip stories too, but I'm sorry I can't tell them in mixed company like this. It was a special pleasure for me, as well as I know many of you, to come to know Stan over the years. He truly is to me, and I know to Sandia, the Dean of Safety for Nuclear Weapons. His contributions are enormous, and it's been a special pleasure to know Stan, and we get together occasionally for a power breakfast, and we're going to have one the day after tomorrow. He said tomorrow he just couldn't do it, but it's a pleasure to be here, and Stan, it's a pleasure to congratulate you for the marvelous contributions that you've made over these many years.
Well, I've got a mic here. Would anybody else like to come up and say some of their experiences with Stan Spray? Ah, good, good.
Yeah, I wanted to say a couple things. I remember I saw the Jeopardy stuff here, and it really rang true to form in terms of the travel category and the Stanism, or Sprayism, I guess. And I had maybe a couple that I'd like to share with you. When I first came to to work for Stan. I actually transferred from a systems group, and it was supposed to be a 2-year assignment. And so I started working for Stan. And the first thing I noticed when going into meetings and everything, it seemed like I didn't even have to be there. Stan's aura was there. People would be talking about nuclear safety and the designs, and someone in the back would say, well, Stan wouldn't like that. And there's no way Stan would like that. And here I am representing safety, and I'm looking, I mean, I don't have to be here. Stan's here, and he's left, you know, maybe he sprayed, you know, around and stuff. But, and so I came back to Stan, and I said, you know, is there something else I can do? Every place I go, I hear that, you know, Stan won't like this, Stan won't like that. And yet, I finally got Stan to sign something for me after about a year after working for him. I, kind of as a joke, I made a little stamp that said totally unacceptable on it. And it was on a weapon system with a safety theme, everything that was going in it. And I stamped it totally unacceptable. I showed it to Stan, and he goes, oh, I agree, and he signed it. And I was, of course, you couldn't read it, but it was his signature, you know. And so that was one of the first sprayisms I think I noticed about Stan. And I have a travel story. It was funny. I used to go traveling with Stan, and I was always the chauffeur. And I thought Stan didn't know how to drive. I mean, I figured, you know, I'm always driving him wherever we're going. And I remember some trips to GE, General Electric, in Pinellas plant down there. And if we stayed in one, Stan always stayed at that had to be the best places, you know, because it's always good to travel with Stan because he found out the best places and he'd stay there. And it was funny though, when we go out to dinner, it was like an adventure. And if we stayed in the south area, we'd have to drive to the north, you know. And you know, I'd find something in the phone book, and I said, let's try this. No, let's drive. And so I remember staying in the north side of the area there, and we drove all the way back to the place that was close to that other hotel, you know, a month before. So that was the place to go then, you know. So we're always kind of traveling. And in one case, I met him in, he was flying from GE to Huntsville, I believe. We're going to Redstone Arsenal, and I was coming from Albuquerque. And I was going to pick him up at the airport, and my flight arrived about an hour or maybe an hour and a half before his. And so I went to the hotel. You know, of course, the first thing I did was look in the phone book and look where the restaurants were, and came back and I asked the folks over there what the good place to eat, and they said just go down University, you know, Avenue, and you'll find something. Well, it turns out I went back to the airport to pick up Stan. I went early because I know Stan would be upset if I was late, and he happened to be coming down the area, so it's a good thing I was early. And he said, so where are we going to go eat tonight? And I said, you know, I didn't really know. He was all disturbed that I hadn't scouted the area out. and so we're driving, and I said, well, we could just go down University and find something. Well, that wasn't a very satisfactory answer, so he had to do his own investigation as he normally does. And they, of course, told him, just go down University. So we went around, and we started driving around. And if you ever went driving with Stan, it was, if it looked okay, then you go, okay, let's try here. And so I just was hungry, you know. And we go in, and he looks at and we sit down. It was an okay atmosphere, and he looks at the menu, and he gets this look on his face. This is not what I was expecting. And so he wants to go driving around some more. And so we go and start driving around. I don't know what he's looking for. I mean, it's dark. I mean, there's nothing around here. I said, Stan, I'm just going to stop someplace, and we're going to eat, and then you can have the keys. And so those are my, and the follow-up that, so again, so this is a long story, but I'm almost ending it. So the first time I went to England, he was going to let me drive, and I'd never been to England. And I don't know if Gary Sanders is not here probably, but Gary was being my protective mother, I think. He said, Stan, don't let Perry drive. He's never been here. Why don't you show him how to drive, you know, then you can. And so I figured, I've never driven with Stan. I've always drove for him, and so I didn't know what to expect. And Gary was supposed to follow us. And these are true stories. He goes about 90 miles an hour, you know, and he's not even looking at his mirror. And I've seen the mirror, and I can't see Gary trying to follow us. And I said, I don't think Gary's behind us. And he goes, oh, yeah, he's there. And I can't believe it, you know. We're whizzing by cars, and there's some construction that one of the lanes Have you ever gone to the pit games, the UNM games, and the line going off the freeway is always backed up? And you always hate those people that come in at the end? Well, here's Stan. He's going, and he cuts in right before the exit. And, you know, rental car, we don't have to worry about it. And then so I'm thinking to myself, you know, Gary's really going to have a hard time following us. And then I'm thinking, besides, I see Gary come by, he did follow us, and Gary gives me this dirtiest look. I'm in the navigator side, but if you know in England, the navigator side, you know, looks like the driver's side, you know. So I'm there, and Gary gives me this dirty, dirty look, and I told Stan, Gary thinks I'm driving. Because people think I drive fast, but so he thinks I'm driving. We get to the hotel, and Stan's not worried about it. Gary gets out of the car, comes up to me, what the hell are you doing? You're driving so fast, I can't even follow you. And I go, Gary, we're in England. The wheel's on the other side, so it hit him. And so anyway, that was the old time so from now on, I would like to drive, you know. But anyway, that's all I had. Next.
What I'd like to do is present this to Stan from the people that were on the Jeopardy game. It's so that you can play it at home whenever you find time. And you will have the last word, as you've always had, sir.
Well, thank you. A lot of kind words, which I appreciate. I wonder occasionally I'm really talking about me because it doesn't seem like that, but I certainly appreciate all the words. But also it's clear that the people that really made things happen in nuclear safety are sitting out in the audience, and many that couldn't be here because I was just one person. And we had the whole team working on it. And without them, without upper management saying, keep going, because I'm sure there are a lot of times when what we were saying was about as popular as bringing a dead cat to lunch, but they never wavered and said, keep right on going. So without them, we wouldn't have had happen what we had happen. You might also wonder, why did I work so long? Assuming some of you now think I was really working. There's one thing, I've never heard such gross exaggerations in my life. I mean, from people that I thought were very upstart, honest, you know, all these gross exaggerations. Who are they talking about, this guy up there? But anyway, it's people like this. You know, I must admit I really walked in this evening like the country boy I am. I never anticipated them doing this roasty kind of thing, although I should have been suspicious. I mean, you know, they did something like this on the 40th, and everybody kept it a secret, and they've done it again. So, but remember, folks, I'm still in the office, and I have a way of getting even. So don't think you're off the hook altogether. So it's been incredibly delightful. Some of those things were actually sort of true. The one about how many people are working for you, and that actually was my standard interview line. When someone would come to work for me, I'd say, well, how many people you got working for you? And they'd usually say, well, none. I said, no, at Sandia Labs, you've got 8,000 people. You know, because if you do everything right at Sandia, you'd have the whole labs working for you. And that's the way it was. If you had a problem, you could go solve the problem. I will comment, you know, with a little tongue-in-cheek, though, things are a little bit different now. You know, then if you had a problem, you'd go, you'd ask, they'd say, glad to help you. Now they say, well, gee, I could certainly help you, but what's your case number? You know, on the line. And Paul and John, if you're here, there's a rumor I would like to have squelched, though, because our administration people have come up with the ultimate cash cow. And what they've looked at and said, now what does everybody do several times a day, and how can we extract money from that? And so I think it's going to be in effect in the 1st of March. If you try to go to the bathroom at Sandia, there'll be a little push button there, and you put in your case number, and now you can go in and use the bathroom. And so that's going to raise tons of money. So do not say Sandia is not right on the forefront of new imaginative ways to bring new money and new business in. But anyway, it's been delightful. I'm certainly appreciative of this incredible turnout, far exceeding what I thought might be here, thanks to Joanne. And I have a little hesitancy about thanking the people around here, but I will anyway. And the people that I would really like to thank are those that didn't come up and say anything, okay? because I know there's some people out there that were making mild threats throughout the evening, so I had more beads of sweat on my forehead as the evening went along. But it's been delightful. I've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed the company and support and help of all you people here. It's made all the work worthwhile. It still makes it worthwhile. As you know, Bill has said, Stan, we're going to give you one last chance to do something useful. So he said, stay in your office and come back in and keep putting in the hours even though you're retired. So I've decided I'll do that, you know, and so on. Nice to have a boss that never gives up on you, always willing to give you one last chance to do something. So I'm still there, so just down the hall. Drop in and say hi. I'm trying to train my body, though, not to get up early, so don't expect me nuts before 9. And if you get there much after 3, you may not find me either. I'm understanding this new rhythm that these retired folks have with all their big smiles on their faces. And I think with a little persistence, I can probably train my body to not get up early and maybe get out of there early. So, but thanks again. I've really enjoyed it all, enjoyed everybody coming, certainly enjoyed all those years. As my standard joke, though, is I came when I was 12 years old, you know, so I'm really not as old as you think I am. In fact, most of you probably don't remember when we had the horse trough, the UPS came with the stagecoaches, and they'd wheel up in front of 802. Us little 12-year-old kids would run out and see them every day, you know. And so you missed a big era here at Sandia by not being around in that time frame. But thanks again. I appreciate it. And with some reluctance, I say thank you, Dan. You're a good master of ceremonies. Thank the panel. And I should always thank them for, I guess, for what they said, not for what they could have said, too. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.